That's going to sound very sketchy just on audio. He was dancing, people. Whatever perverse thing you were picturing was just dancing.
Yeah.
We're going to get the plays today. We are going to get the plays. Angela Montoya is putting on an auditory show for our listeners.
Yes. I apologize. Actually, I didn't mean to. It just came right out of me. Welcome to Of the Publishing Persuasion. I am Angela Montoya, author of Sinner's Isle, coming out October. I don't know why. I'm sorry. I like blank out every time I'm about to say the date. Like I don't know this date.
You should know because it's your freaking birthday.
It's my birthday. Halloween of 2023. Sinner's Isle comes to you. And I am here with, she is a little, oh my God. Oh God. Look at that. Melanie is holding up the Does it have two sides of its head?
It's got two faces. That's the scary part. Oh. So this is the Chucky head. It's the Chucky head Jessica Paris sent me, and it has gone wild. Look at it. So now I've brought this chia head on for a reason. It's not just to show off how well I've grown it. Look at how those roots are growing down the face. Listeners, if there was ever a time for you to watch the video version of the podcast, it's right now. You need to see this evil Chucky chia head. It's a chia pet. So I was going to try throw you off your intro, but you got through it so quick.
I'm always ready.
You're so ready. So first of all, I have to bring up the fact that I have recently been made aware that you are, in fact, chia pet royalty.
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, it's my partner's like godfather. You know, like family. They've grown up with this other family, so they're like close family friends. His name is Miguel Chavez, and he's from Mexico, as most of my partner's family are. And he owned a tile factory back in the day, like in the 70s. And he owned like terracotta tiles, which is what chia pets, right? That's what terracotta.
Yeah, terracotta.
So he was like, his business was struggling, and he came up with this idea of adding chia seeds to the forms that he had, and the chia pet was born. And then I think an American company bought it off of him for millions of dollars. But but Miguel Chavez, shout out.
It's amazing. It's horrifying, this one.
Yeah.
The jewel face. Yes. I didn't even know. When Paris sent it to me, I pulled out this side, which is creepy in and of itself. And then I was looking at the box and I was like, oh, it's not like Paris to choose the cute looking one. I was like, I wonder why she didn't choose the evil one. And then I looked at it closer and I was like, hang on. And I turned it around and I was like, dun, dun, dun. And I was like, oh, there's a second face. So now my question is, being that you're chia royalty, because I'm just giving you that title, as if you came up with it yourself. I still think
I did.
Super cool that you know the person who invented it. What I want to know now is, do people eat the sprouts?
I suppose you could. I mean, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, edible, why wouldn't you? Yeah, I think so.
Now. Let's try.
Yeah, give it a go.
The root came off.
Oh my gosh.
It's a good feed. Well, cheers to you. Okay.
How's it taste, Melanie? That would be awkward if Melanie just died on the show.
No, it just tastes like lettuce, like sprouts. I feel disturbed though. I've got to put it out of sight. I'm going to be distracted.
Yeah, no, I think it makes it worse that it's dual faced. It's creepy.
It is creepy.
It's so on par for Para though, to get you that. I know. Yeah. Didn't she get herself one?
Yeah.
Or did you
gonna grow hers? Of course. She's gonna grow it, and we're gonna.
It's a bush war.
It's a bush war.
Bush war.
But no, I just had to I've been fascinated since my brain has just fixated on this you being cheer royalty because it just like came out of the ether. I was cackling for a long time when you told me.
I feel like so like no, here's the thing. I don't have a lot of cool things about me, but I know like random cool people. So if there's some way for me to like say, hey, I know this thing and I know this person, I'm gonna find a way to say it because I don't have a lot of cool things.
What do you
about
mean?
Me.
You're about to have a blockbuster book published that's going to sweep the world by storm. You are the cool person. People in your family are going to all be like, I used to play in the sandbox with Angela Montoya. Yes, she grew up in my backyard or whatever. They're all going to be like suddenly knowing you.
I grew up in their backyard. What was I doing? Poor me, just neglected in the backyard.
You were playing in the sandbox. I already went over that note.
Okay.
Also,
I see. So, okay, yeah.
Speaking of which, I need water because that sprout is stuck in my throat. It is trying to kill me. The Chucky sprout. Hang on. Hold that thought.
Oh, no.
Don't look at me. I don't like people looking at me when I drink.
Look, she really did turn away just so she could take a sip of water.
It's just stuck there. I'm just
it's like that was very like K-drama of you to turn and drink.
Was it?
Because isn't like that's like in and I think it's Korean culture, like it's respectful to turn and drink. Or I just
don't like people looking at me when I'm drinking. But you
well now you drink in front of me now. Oh wow. Oh, you're right. That was so weird.
I'm just gonna have to soldier on, but that sprout is literally stuck back there. That's what I get. That's what I get. But anyway, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. Oh, okay. So today I was working on the third book because I think we have Melanie beat me, as we all know, in our draft race. We have officially reinstated draft race. I don't know if you're either revising or working on something new. Either way, I'm racing you.
Yes.
Right.
I'm doing both.
So, okay, Miss Bragger. She's just over here revising a book she just wrote and writing something new because she's just that bitch. No, but spoiler listeners, the new idea Melanie has is so cool. I can't say anything.
You
it's top secret.
You can. I'm
okay.
I've just decided at this point I'm not going to be secretive about it because I'm too excited. I changed the title from the original title I shared with you. So, because I think the original one made it sound like it was more comedy and it was like, I wanted it to sound a little bit more creepy. So we now have The Pocket Spiders.
Ooh, that's way better.
Yeah.
That is so good. And it's just short and simple and easy to remember. I love. She's a genius.
Yes, that idea came this week as well. So I'm gonna just slow draft that one while revising The Swamp Princess, which I just this morning, thanks to the epicness of my glorious, amazing co-host who already looked over it for me. I've sent off my query letter, which I fashioned this week, and my first 10 pages of Swamp Princess to the Linda Camacho, who I love. She's over at Manuscript Academy, and I love it's just like a step that I feel like it's worth putting aside some money to do it, because just having that agent eyes on the work, and an agent we know and love, we've had her on the show, and her feedback is always so on point. So like I kind of like when I get royalties from the performing arts company I work for, I always put it back into my writing, and that's one of the things I always put aside a bit for, to do that. And yeah, it just gives you that confidence that your idea's on point, that your query letter's right, and then you can go into the trenches. So I'm still revising it, obviously, but I revised that all first, and then I'll keep going.
You'll revise it fast, though. I mean, like because I read, is it the first 10 pages you said? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so clean already. So I already know you're just going to zip through this really fast. So I have to get my butt in gear. I hit the 500 not 500. That would be crazy. I hit the 50K mark in my current whip. So
Yes.
like, I feel like I think I can get to like another 30K, like just 80,000 for this first like initial draft. I think I'd be like, nice, because I know after speaking with my editor that she is going to start reading book 2 this week. So it's coming. Yes. So it's coming back sooner than later. Who knows? Maybe the next couple weeks or something, but we'll see.
Are you excited to get back to it?
I'm really excited, honestly. I love the second book. I know it's really messy and like, there's things obviously that need to be worked on. But like the bones and the characters, I think they're so fun. So I'm excited to get back to it.
I'm so excited. I love, love, love that book. Like they're my children, that book. And I can't wait I can't wait to see what they cook up for the cover. I know that's like probably a bit far off, but like after what's like Sinner's Isle cover just like wound up being so on point, just so perfect. Yes. I'm like, want to see what they cook up for this one. I just feel like it's going to be magical.
I think so too, because I mean, they're so pretty, the characters in my head. Yeah. Like this time I want them to be like backs against each other or something, where it's like they don't, dueling, they don't like each other.
Dueling. Oh, I love that.
That kind of a. Yes. So we'll see. That would be really fun though. Because they honestly, the team has done an amazing job with Sinner's Isle. So we'll see how it goes.
That little flash of green inside the dust jacket, I swoon.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Listeners, Melanie and a few other very close friends have gotten to see a sneak peek. Spoiler alert. No, so I got to share, I got to see what like a mock-up version of the dust jacket for Sinner's Isle will be, and the colors just it's so perfect. I don't even normally like that color combination, but I really really love it. Yeah, it's perfect. So they know more than I know, because I would have never been able to pull off a cover like that. I would have never been able to like refine the book like that. So thank God.
It's exciting. It's just around really it's June. Like somebody told me when we wound up in June, because I thought the year started. Like it's gonna
isn't
that crazy? Like I saw a meme about that the other day, like somebody tell me when it became May, and that was back in May.
Yeah. Yeah, we're already in June. No, somebody Shay, a friend, posted a review of Sinner's Isle on Instagram.
Yeah.
And it says like, I feel bad for everybody who has to wait 4 months for this book to come out. And I was like, 4 months? What do you mean? Nothing. It's like 10 months away. And I was like counting with my fingers. I'm like, oh my God, she's right.
4
it's
months.
Weird. Dude, so weird. Let's go back to your Swamp Princess book for a second, because I read it and there was a few things in there that really threw me off. And listeners, as you know, Melanie lives in the outback.
The outback of Melbourne City.
Okay, hold on. Let me just say one thing real fast. So this is completely random, but I drive a Subaru. Do you guys have Subarus there?
Yeah.
Okay, so I drive a Subaru, and it's called a Subaru Outback.
Oh yeah.
And so for the longest time, I thought it was an Australian car.
Really?
I was like, oh, this totally comes from Australia. These are Australian cars. And my
Oh, that's
like
so
uncle-in-law was like, they're Japanese. I'm like, I just thought because it said Outback. So
what do you call it over there? Like we call like the Outback is literally just like the bush and like out of cities, right? Like it's bush, desert, whatever. You'd call it all the Outback. What do you guys call it?
I would say just like the country. I don't know. We have desert. We have deserts here. So we would just call them deserts, I'd imagine.
So it doesn't have like a general. Yeah, I wonder why we call it the Outback. Maybe because our bush is like iconic.
Yeah, I mean, I thought you should know this. Like, this is kind of your thing. But anyways, back to Swamp Princess. Melanie doesn't actually live in the Outback. She lives
alas
adjacent. Yes, alas. But in the story, you mentioned she was eating chicken chips.
Chicken
Is that
chips.
what you called it?
Yeah.
Okay. And that just threw me all the way off because we don't have chicken chips that I know of.
I don't understand.
I don't know. I've never had
that. Not at all. Like the flavor doesn't exist.
Like we have barbecue chips that taste like barbecue sauce.
Okay, barbecue is also here. But wait, like barbecue sauce. See, ours are pitched as like a barbecue, like meat flavor barbecue, like barbecued meat, not as sauce. That's really
we have barbecue chips. We might have like no, I can't.
Do you not have honey soy? What about honey soy chicken? That is like the flavor that I buy when I go out.
Maybe I'm just not I mean, I know me some chips, and I have never heard of anything chicken flavor.
It's so
one time
funny.
That is funny. No, here's why it like threw me off, because one time I was trying to be healthy. And so I bought these chips and they said chicken flavored, and I was like, oh, they're not like made from potatoes or something. They were something else. And I got them, and they were the most disgusting things I've ever tasted. It was literal like dried chicken. It was chicken in a chip. It was a chip. It was a chicken chip.
Wait,
it was a literal chicken
piece of like meat dried as a chip, like jerky.
Yes. But not jerky. It was like, it was disgusting. So that's why I was like, why is your character buying chicken chips? They're terrible.
You pictured
but no, it's just chicken.
Like dried chicken. I see why it disturbed you. No, it did. I think also as Australians, we're notorious for shortening stuff. Like one of your notes in my manuscript was, what is servo?
Yes. I was like, okay, servo. Because I was like listing the things that you listed in there. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. So that's a service station.
Yeah, like a gas station. And I think because it's set in the Outback, I've purposely leaned into all the colloquialisms and shortened form. Like not too much.
Yes.
But like the ones that I'm like, I try to like balance it in my head, like what sounds good and what sounds annoying. If I was reading in another from somewhere else, you want to fascinate, not piss off, right? I find it annoying when people lean so heavy into like really colloquial language and every second word is like something I have to Google. But I like to do it a bit.
You do a perfect job, honestly. And it just sounds very much like your character's voice.
So
it's perfect. You'll just have to have like a dictionary for
Aussie slang.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, Aussie slang, which I think would be really fun, to be honest.
It is fun.
But really, you do just get it. You just, as you're reading it, you're like, oh, okay, chicken chips.
That's what you want. I want the brain to first have like a shock image and then naturally to be like, it probably means this. And you don't actually have to Google. I want you to want it. I'm obviously going to send you chicken chips now. That's your next part in the mail.
Yes.
You're going to
I shall send you ranch chips.
Yes.
The bomb. Do you guys have ranch dressing?
maybe it's not like something that I normally get. It's probably somewhere.
You don't have ranch dressing?
We must, but like I've heard of it, but
Really?
it's not something that like I couldn't tell you what it tastes like right now if you ask me.
Okay.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I
Okay.
haven't
Well,
had it.
yes.
And it's definitely not a chip flavor of a well-known brand that I know either. It's not like you'd walk
Like
into
Cool
the
Ranch.
local store and they'd be like, there's ranch chips. There'll be chicken chips, salt and vinegar, barbecue, honey soy, chili, sweet chili, that kind of stuff, but no ranch.
Okay. Okay. But you guys have Doritos?
Yeah. Oh, there's
No?
probably
Okay.
is ranch Doritos, but it
So
would
the
be
blue bag
one.
is Cool Ranch.
The
Yes.
blue bag? Okay, if there's a blue bag, it's new. Of course it's fucking blue.
Oh, okay.
It's like probably not even food grade. That's why it doesn't come here. You guys are notorious for having in Australia, we are very frightened of American food. I'm just gonna put it out there.
Yeah.
Like we hear
okay.
horror tales, and like sometimes I've gotten something that was made in the States, and if it was a candy, it was literally like permitted colors E535 permitted, and I'm like, what the shit is this that it literally has to say permitted? I'm like, that sounds very curious, very curious. Or it'll be like, I saw something that was like, 90% real drink. Like, is that a real thing? Or is that a joke?
Well, yeah, like it'll be like, I don't know about the real drink, but like it'll say like 6% juice. And you're like, but this is juice. What else is in here?
Yeah.
But in my state, California, I think they just passed a law where a lot of the like notoriously bad additives that most countries have banned, our state has finally banned them as well. So yeah. Woo! No, it's true. And like a lot of the stuff, you do read it and you're like, oh Lord. Well, that's why I was trying the chicken chips. I was trying to be healthy and it tasted like shit.
Well, I'll send you some.
Give me the preservatives. Well, maybe I shouldn't send you something because now I know you're not going to eat it.
No, I'll definitely try it. Once it can't accumulate in your body from one go, right?
Yeah. Although, you should be fine.
Grim fact. No, we're down this rabbit hole. I seem to remember reading somewhere, and it could be fake news, but I remember reading somewhere that because humanity as a general eats so much more preservatives now, that bodies take much longer to decompose when they die.
Really?
Yes, like it's because all the preservatives are in the system. It could be fake news, but I mean, you heard it here first if it's not.
Yeah. Scientist Melanie says, no, well, that's honestly when I go, I want to be cremated because I don't want to be out here a preservative mess. You know, I just want to be just flame me up, sprinkle me around. Yeah. You know, the kids can split me in half. I can go in one house and then go in the other house.
Wait, do you want to be sprinkled or do you want to be split into two urns?
Well, I feel like sprinkle a little few places. You know, just dab me here, dab me there, and then split and like put me by their TV so I can just sit there and watch with them.
Yeah, and just judge their lives.
Yeah. Put little eyeballs on my urn, you know?
Like googly eyes. Well, I don't know if that was grim or glorious, but I'm here for it. That'll be my next the next book in the collection. The split urn ashes.
Yes.
Oh, that could be a thing.
I think it needs to happen.
Yes.
Where does the ghost go when half of it is split up?
That's very like we're laughing, but it's a very like deep question, actually.
Yeah, it's true.
Glorious.
Yeah.
Absolutely glorious. Yeah. And as per usual, we are very chatty because we just had on the best. I feel like it's good that we do the intro after the guest, right? because I'm always just so supercharged after those chats, and today was no exception. So
yes, Melanie found her soul sister that she didn't even know existed. Her Canadian half, Melanie, hath found her.
Dude, I had chills for a lot of that conversation, and like it was bizarre how much of Jackie's story like resonates with me. And like I feel like after that conversation, I definitely have to add potential autism traits to my neurospiciness. And because there's just so much she said that like I was like, wow, I just didn't realize that other people didn't think like that. I thought everyone felt the need to over explain because they're like don't want to be misunderstood and all these things. So it's really like you know, I've done a lot of self-work as a person, and I've done a lot of like getting to know my soul and therapy and whatever. And so these realizations, like, I think I'm not a labels girl. I read something the other day that, what's his name? That author, his book's just come out now. And his character was like, he's not about labels. He just is, you know, like, what's his name? M. Bramwell or so. You follow him too. I actually want to get him on the show. He's so cool. And his characters are Marvin, and he posts those super spicy scenes. They're like, it's like a teacher, beautiful queer rom-com, I think.
Oh, we'll have to get him on.
Yeah. And he was just like, one of his characters, they're just like, they don't like to just label all the parts of themselves. And I was just like, wow, I resonate with that so deeply. Like there's a lot of things I've learned about myself as an adult, but like I don't necessarily want to put it in a specific box. For me personally, some people find labels are really, really helpful, you know, but for me, I feel like I've gotten to know myself as I am, and I love myself as I am. So I'm happy with vague neurospicy. I'm happy with vague, like, yeah, if I was brought up differently, I could have dated girls as well. I don't need like a specific title for those things. It's just like, I just want to be me, you know? So I don't know how we even got onto that, but yeah, like just listening to her and like having chills being like, okay, like, yeah, that's definitely, these things resonate with me so much. Even like the changing careers. So like we would be here all day if I tried to tell you all the different jobs I did in my life, and burnt out at every single one of them because I didn't know I was masking. I didn't know why I was so exhausted around people all the time, but it was like probably a combination of anxiety, but maybe a lot of the anxiety was coming from like, yeah, some of that. Who knows? Who knows? But I'm okay with not labeling it. I'm okay with like,
I love that.
How I am, you know?
Yes. No, I love that. And I like what you said, that some people do need the labels, and that they can, you know, it helps them understand. And some people don't, and don't want, you know, don't want to be put in a certain box. And so, like, I mean, we keep going back to this, even when we ask about like, how is your writing style? Everybody's brain and body and heart work so differently. So it's like, you got to just extend grace for humanity, because everybody's hopefully just trying to learn and be better in their own bodies. And no, I watched your eyes honestly like light up when she was talking just about her story. Because you're like, I could see your like the cogs were turning.
I know. Brain. I feel like emotional about it because I was just like, wow, like I feel so seen by that conversation. Like I'm literally tearing up now because it's such a, when you grow up like that and you just think that's how everyone is, and there's these parts of you that suffer quietly, you know, and I think it's human instinct to like, to not stand out, to just fall in line. Like even stuff like I've had to teach my face how to react the way I want to be understood. Like that is, I realize now that's such a neurospicy thing. But I was just like, oh, I have resting bitch face. I have to like teach my face to do what it is. And like, to be honest, my very best friends are the ones that like, when we're together, we can just sit in silence for hours. Like we can be off humming away doing then we'll come together and we'll have, I am also this, I'm also loud and outgoing and whatever. But like, there's other parts of you that like you maybe squashed down because it wasn't considered desirable, if that makes sense. So yeah, it was such a powerful conversation. And I'm just so grateful to these beautiful, generous souls that we have in our community who are like so open to sharing their truths and stuff. And yeah, it's just, it's so beautiful.
It is. It is. I feel like every time we have an episode, like we're so lucky to chat with the people that we've gotten to chat with. And like every single time, I'm always left with that feeling of like, we just went through a little bit of therapy, laughing and learning, and it's just really, really beautiful. And it was just fun to watch you and Jackie like relate. And even it was funny because when she was saying that about rambling because she wanted to make sure her voice was heard and like her thoughts came out. I was like, yeah, I get that. Like I see, I'm looking at Melanie, I'm looking at Jackie, I feel it. And in my mind, I was thinking, I'm the opposite. Like I clamp up. When I can't explain something, I'm just like, meh, fine. If you don't get it, it's fine. I don't know how to explain it to you anyways. Or like, it's too much work anyways. But I was just like, I really love that about you guys, that you're like, nah, I'm going to keep telling you until you get it.
I'm so relieved that you love that about me, because I like, another thing is like overthinking that these things might be annoying to people. And I'm sure like I've had to tape, like what you see now is a tapered back version, believe it or not. The desire to over explain is so strong. I want to know people fully get it. But yeah, there's beautiful souls like you who love us anyway.
Yes, please. Honestly, like, I think for people who are naturally a little quieter, having the friends that will over explain and will just spin their yarns around, I think is perfect.
That makes me so happy. I can't even tell you. I don't know why. This whole conversation makes me feel like raw, but in a really happy way. Like I feel like my heart is on the table right now, but I'm not mad about it.
Yes. You're just like releasing it, letting it be. And it's beautiful just as it is, without the mask, without the things that we feel like will make it pretty. It's like when we strip down those things and just leave the heart raw, that's when it's at its most beautiful, position right there. So lay that heart bare, just have it naked out on the table.
It loves to be naked.
Let her free. Let her frolic.
Between my naked heart and your moaning at the start of the episode, it's going to be our most played episode.
Of course.
Or we'll finally be cancelled. But before we run out of time, we should read Jackie's bio. Oh, it's not as bad as I thought. I thought I got really
we're doing great.
There.
No, we're doing great. But let's get to her bio, honestly, and get this show going. Yes. Melanie, I know I did it last time, so you're up.
So, listeners, you're about to be blessed by our conversation with Jackie Khalilieh, who is a Palestinian-Canadian writer with a love of 90s pop culture, dad jokes, and warm and fuzzy romance. Like many autistic females, she received her diagnosis as an adult. She's passionate about positive representation within her writing. She currently resides outside Toronto. Sorry, I thought it was a full stop. I need to update my glasses script, I think. She currently resides outside Toronto, Canada, with her husband and 2 daughters, complaining nightly about having to cook dinner. Something More is her YA debut novel.
So relatable. The complaining about having to cook dinner. She's so relatable because yes, me too.
I feel like you need to put those kids to work like the olden days, like back in the day, they were just popping the kids out and putting them to work.
I know. Oh, you're right. I'm doing this wrong. They do need to do that. Like they're at an age where like if there's food in the house, I'm like, well, just do something yourself. And they're like,
that's good.
Alicia, she'll be like, oh, well, then I'm not gonna eat. I'm like, all right, fine. Lazy butt.
She's smart though, because eventually, like being a mom, you probably worry and you're like, well, damn it, I've got to feed them because otherwise I'm like starving my children.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm like, all right, come down. You're fine.
Alicia, I see you.
I know. The girl's got her brains. And Adrian, he'll come down and just like make himself like a gourmet meal.
Bless. Oh, he's a little chef.
They're funny. Yeah. Yeah. So they're funny. And she'll usually weasel her way into getting him to make her something.
What does he make?
Smart,
How old is he now?
He'll do he's 13, so he'll make whatever he wants. Yeah, he's just out here just living life.
Little master chef.
I know. Yeah, he had a cookbook that he would cook from. Like he would do like fried rice and
that's the cutest thing ever. But you know what? It's like, I guess some people are naturally interested in it like any hobby. For some people it's a chore, but for some people it's fun. So we may have a future Michelin chef star on our hands starting out at 13.
Yes, please. The boys cook good in this house. The girls, we just sit and look pretty. We sit and look pretty. We're here to be served.
Should be. New world order.
Yeah.
I love it. I also love, I forgot to bring it up when we were talking about Swamp Princess. I also love that I was not the only one growing tadpoles in a lunchbox in my room. Was it in your room or somewhere else?
Oh, I had them in the room. I had a jar. And first, like, I don't know what tadpoles are really cool.
They're cool.
They're really cool. Yeah.
Did yours grow into frogs?
No, I never. I don't think I.
What did they died?
Yeah. Or usually my mom would yell and be like, get them out of the house. And so I'd have to put them back in the creek. All my dreams were dashed. Did you grow yours?
It's probably for the best once I tell you what happened to mine.
Oh, God.
So I actually used this for some dark, spooky inspo in Swamp Princess, but mine did grow. They did, and I was fascinated. I used to feed them polenta. Do you have polenta there?
I don't know.
Like really finely ground corn, and you cook it up into like cornmeal.
Oh, okay.
Like a porridge almost. So I'd feed them polenta, and they actually started to grow legs. And I think they might have eaten each other as well because there was less and less over the months. Anyway, moving on.
The polenta wasn't enough.
Yeah, but they started to look like little frogs with tails, and I was so excited. It was the first time it had happened. And then one day I came home and they were all gone. And I was like, that's weird and spooky. I could not explain why they were all gone until many months later when I moved my bed to vacuum. And I was like, what are all these sultanas? They were not sultanas, dear listener. I see it's going to cut me out, but yes, they were the corpses of all the little frogs that tried to jump out. They jumped out.
Hello.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Pulled it together.
We were excited. Yes, you did. You made it work. It's happening. We're here. I know I'm probably glitchy, but we're just used to that on the show. I have bad internet connection here. Okay. So if you see me doing this, it's not just me doing this. Yeah, well, welcome. I mean, honestly, we're really, really excited to have you on. I have been like staring at that book of yours for months now. I am so excited. It's like just to learn more about it and more about you. So we'll just hop right in. and get going with this. Beforehand, Melanie and I will do your bio and like, talk you up and all the good stuff. So yeah, we get to just go in and have fun.
Okay.
All right. So
like I said, I didn't prepare any of my answers, so you're just getting what you're getting.
That's totally fine. Honestly, we're just a relaxed, chill, conversational podcast. So just be relaxed. If you have to get water, if it glitches again, it's all cool. So why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. I'm Jackie. I live in a suburb north of Toronto, Canada. I am married and I have 2 daughters who are 8 and 10, and a Samoyed who is 6, named Pearl, which is just the most ridiculous name, but we didn't name her. Yeah, and I guess I'm officially an author now.
You are. How does it feel?
It's weird. It's I don't know, like I don't know how to explain it. You get what you finally want and you're like, oh, okay. And life just goes on the way, I've cleaned dog vomit 3 times today. Still have to get the kids to school, So things have changed and then nothing's changed at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Honestly, that feels so real and relatable. Like I remember the day, it was a big day for me. I thought, oh, this is so exciting. Like it was like the cover reveal day. And so I posted it and I was like, I feel like an author now. And yet I had to go and, walk the dog, make sure he pooped and all that stuff. So it's just funny how you really, like you have this idea of like pub day. And yeah, like if you have all these things planned, but really people have been reading your book probably for months before launch.
Since December, I think it was up on NetGalley. So about 6 months, which I think that was actually like the biggest milestone moment. That felt more than actually my book being out, because truth be told, my book came out a week early in stores. So it wasn't just like tomorrow or yesterday was the day, and it's been with ARC readers for 6 months. So I've had like time to get used to it. The big thing about yesterday though was like people that I know were getting the book delivered to their homes. And that was a little bit of a different, scary feeling.
Yes. So have you seen it in the store yet?
I have. So last week, my husband got an email from our version of Barnes and Noble. It's called Chapters Indigo. And he's like, oh, you're in this email under most anticipated teen books. And so I'm like, forward it to me. So he sent it to me. And as I'm looking at it, I see a little check mark that says available in store. And this was a whole week before the book was even due to come out. And so I'm like, it's in the store. We have to go. So we got it together and we went to the closest bookstore that we had and I went to go see it in person. I made a little video. It's on my TikTok. For the first time I ever saw it.
I love that. It seems to happen a lot that like authors stumble upon their own book before they even knew it was in the shop. What was it like for you seeing it on the shelf in all its glory?
It's like another one of those things, like it's so built up and you're like, okay, there it is.
Yeah.
Because I've seen it before, right? Like it wasn't the very first time I saw the book, when I got the delivered to my house, but it was like, oh, it's cool. And then I just went over to the bookseller and I was really awkward. And I'm like, hi, this is my book. I didn't know what to say. I'm like, I have some bookmarks. And then she was like, do you want to sign it? And she led me through it and I got to sign it and that was fun. And then, that was it. It's like these moments, you build them up and they are exciting, but when they're happening, it's just like, okay. And then the 8-year-old's like, I'm hungry. And so we had to go feed her.
I love this. Honestly, this just makes me so happy to hear. It's just really just life continues on. We do make all of these goals and these things all made up in our head sometimes of all these like walking into the store, they're going to shoot glitter in your face and like, you're the author. But a lot of times it's true. It's like your kid's just like, Mom, like, let's go eat. And you're like, okay, moving on. Yeah. That is so fun. Did you always know you wanted to be a writer?
I don't think like writer, but I've always been a writer, if that makes sense. I've always been a creative person, and I didn't know I was autistic growing up, but when I look back on my childhood and my teen years, I can see that the way that I was like constantly like ebbing and flowing through interests had to do with the autism. But so there was like, I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to, I don't know if I ever wanted to write books until I was a little bit older. I was in my attic this past weekend to gather some like old things to make another TikTok. And I found, I don't know, like something where I said I wanted to be in a band and I don't play an instrument. So I'm like, okay, so apparently I wanted to be in a band when I was 14. And then I went through like a long phase when I was in high school where I wanted to be John Hughes. I wanted to be a movie director. I wanted to make teen movies. And then I think it was like 11th or 12th grade, we had a class called communication technology. And I actually got a chance to like be a director. And I was like, oh, being a director means you have to work with people. And I'm like, I don't like working with people. So I kind of like changed that. And then I knew that I liked writing. And so I started to go into like the journalism side of things my last couple of years of high school. And I went to university and I got a degree in journalism. And I knew about like 1 week into the program, this is not for me, but I also fought to go to this university and study as a journalist. So I was like, okay, well now I'm gonna have to do it. And so I made the best of it. And I'm like, by the 3rd or 4th year, I had like focused on broadcast journalism, which I found was more my thing. And I had like a really fun time with that. Did an internship at ABC in New York, and that was really fun. And I did it, I gave it my all for the 4 or 5 years. And then a few months after graduating, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't know. And looking back, it's the autism thing too, like not being able to stay with one thing for too long. So the thing about the journalism was it was so unpredictable. It was like 12, 14-hour days, not a lot of money. And it was causing me anxiety. And so I decided I needed a more creative outlet, more stability. So I went into teaching. And I went to teachers college for a year, and I did that for like 6 or 7 years. And then I had my first kid, and then I was like, I don't want to be a teacher anymore. And then I just gave my all into being a mom. I had my daughters within 2 years of each other, and I just gave my all with that. And then once they were starting to go into school, both of them, I started to think, what's next? What's next? And that led me towards writing. I'll stop rambling now so you can ask the next question. But at that point is when I started to think about writing books. And there was a catalyst to that moment.
Yeah, please don't apologize for rambling. You are in the presence of 2 yarn spinners of the highest order. So just whatever you want to share, we're here to hear it. But yeah, like it's relatable. I also had like a long journey of and did the teaching thing too. And on my last day of prac, I cried my way home and I was like, I'm done. I'm never going back. And did a whole bunch of jobs, but like it does make life exciting as well, doesn't it? Like it kind of
I couldn't see like, and when I was a teacher and was like, this is a good fit for me at this time in my life. But there was something that happened, and this again has to do with my autism. The second I had my daughter, I just felt like this big relief. And I know like a lot of people feel like stressed because they're like, oh, I'm a new parent. I got to take care of another human being. But for me, I just felt all this like weight lifted because that truly, and I was 32 when I had her, was the first time since I was probably 3 when I started school, was the first time that I was not masked. I was unmasked. I was myself. And I just felt like this big weight lifted. And I just knew I couldn't go back to that again. I didn't know. I wouldn't find out maybe 5 or 6 years later that I was autistic, but I just knew that there was something that happened when I had her. And I thought it was just, I loved being a mom. But when I look back now, I can see it's because that was the first time in my life I was unmasked and I didn't have the pressure to be a teacher or be a journalist or be this version of Jackie. I could just be what she needed me to be. I could be my natural self. And that was, I think, a big, the beginning of a big turning point in my life.
You've given me chills because I've only like recently realized that I'm probably quite neurospicy, and your story resonates with me so much. Like, and I would never have realized that it was like part of anxiety disorder, part of like potentially masking, to like always be burnt out in those kinds of jobs. For me, that big sigh was setting up my life in a completely different way and finding writing and just being like, you know, like I have these bursts and I love doing this. I love being social, but it's got to be bursts. It's got to be bursts here and there. And it's
we can be both, right? Like we have the extrovert side and then we have the introvert side. But like people talk about like their 20s. I'm like, I hated my 20s. And I think it was because I was so like masked all the time, because it was being in a professional situation, being in news offices, meeting new people all the time, not knowing what to expect, you know, getting 2 university degrees. And my husband's like, but you met me and we got married in my 20s. And I'm like, it was just, it wasn't that. It was just that it was in high school, like my teen years, you would think that was more stressful, but I was still like coming into my own and I was playing out like these different sides of myself and personality. But it was like when I was in my 20s, I had to be professional. I had to get these degrees. I had to study. I had to be the version of me that needed to excel in her career.
This is honestly deeply like profound. And I mean, honestly, it's so special to hear. And it's like that freedom and that breath of fresh air of like finally just kind of like stepping into your true self and finding the freedom. I don't think there's anything more beautiful than that. I mean, it's just so special to hear. It's lovely. Was it after that you started to write? Was it that moment that really like set you off?
So it was, like I said, my youngest was about to enter kindergarten, and here we have junior kindergarten, senior kindergarten. And because she was born in December, she would be entering it at about 3.5. And so I knew, you know, when she was about 3.5, I started thinking, I'm like, I got to do something, right? Like people are expecting me to go back to work. I just kept pushing it off and renewing my teaching license. And I don't know, it was in my head that I had to do something, but I didn't know what. Anyway, so I was a young mom, and you know, as if you're a mom, the nights are yours, right? You stay up too late and because you just need that time to yourself. So something that I was doing, because they were old enough that they were on a schedule, I was like watching a lot of movies again and reading again. And I hadn't done that when they were young. And I remember watching 2 movies in particular. I think it was Love, Simon, though, that really was my catalyst moment. You know, my husband's sleeping next to me. I'm watching Love, Simon in bed. And the end of the movie, you know, the happy ending, and I'm like crying and I'm like feeling things. And it's reminding me of who I was when I was in high school, when I was obsessed with John Hughes. And when I look back, I see he was one of my special interest people. And I was like, I can do that. It's what I wanted to do. I want to make people feel the way that I feel right now. And I think I can do that. And I think that was like the starting point. Like, how can I do that? And I think I just had a moment of like, right, because I've always been a writer, like I said, but I never wanted to be a writer, if that makes sense. And I think that was like the starting point. But I told myself, don't start yet. Think about it. So I said, give yourself 6 months just to daydream about the story, daydream about the characters. You know, I had a notes file in my phone, And often in the shower, I'd get scene ideas and I would come out of the shower dripping down and like write these scenes really quickly and develop the characters. But I did it for 6 months because I have this side of my personality where I will just dive in and then burn out quickly. And I knew that I really wanted to do this. I really wanted to do it right. So I did like for 6 months, I just thought about it. And then about January 2019, I opened up the laptop and I just started writing.
Wow.
Man.
I love all of that so much. I love that you took the time to think about it. And I think we're the same person. Again, it's very relatable to me. When I hit writing, I was like, I want to do this properly. I don't want it to just be another hobby that comes and goes. Like, I want to learn everything about it. I want to find my place in it. I love that so much. Can you tell us a little bit about what was querying and submission like for you?
Heard. I am very sensitive to rejection. And I hadn't been rejected in a long time either, because I had been a mom at the point when I was ready to start querying, 2020. So I'd been out of the work field for like 10 years almost, 8 years. And I wasn't used to, I was rusty with rejection, and it was it was emotional. And I didn't know what I was doing. I have an impulsive side to my personality. Like I mentioned before, I can dive into things. So I dived into querying too soon. And my letter was terrible. And then it was just a lot of trial and error. And I used to be down on myself and hard on myself, saying my whole like process was really messy. But I learned through the mess, and it got me to eventually the end goal. But yeah, I think, I worked on the book for all of 2019. I started querying in 2020. And I queried something more first. And at about 100 rejections, I was like, okay, I think that something's not working. And I've rewritten it and I've changed it and something wasn't working. And I had started other books, so I was about to shelve it. I had entered PitMad with something more as like my last like hurrah. And I had received 2 requests from mentors. And then what happened was I had also written this other book that I was really excited about, and it was more high concept. And I decided to pitch that at DV Pitt, and I got a lot of agent interest. So I was like, maybe I will pull out of PitMad because the announcements hadn't happened yet, so that I can query this new book. And so I did that. Sorry. And there were a couple of like agents who were still considering something more. So and I was getting requests with the second book. I'll call it my Monte Cristo book. And I just felt like that was going somewhere, and I didn't want to waste other agents' time. So I sent I'm withdrawing my submission for something more. And a couple of them were like, that's fine, whatever. And then like a couple weeks later, a month later, it was a while later, one of the agents emailed me, and he was passing, but he emailed me with like a long pass and a list of reasons, like what he liked and what wasn't working for him. And I was like, well, that's nice of him, but I was like already like mentally ready to move on. And so I just sat with that. And I guess a couple of months later, his words like clicked, and I was like, I know what to do. I know how to fix something more. So I had a couple of R&Rs for the Monte Cristo book. So I was waiting to hear on that. And I dived into my final revision for something more with that agent's advice, and I rewrote it. And fast forward a couple months, I did receive an offer of rep for the Monte Cristo book. But it needed to be rewritten. So as I was talking to my agent, I said, I also have this other book, that I think is ready. And so I knew the Monte Cristo book would take months to rewrite. I sent her something more, and she loved it. and we went on sub with it like a month after signing. That was like 2021 March. So
That
in
is
a, you know,
what a journey.
Roundabout way, yeah. And it ended up being, yeah, the first book I wrote ended up being the first book I published, but I didn't get an agent with this book. So that was
Isn't
interesting.
that something? Yes,
Yeah.
I love that journey though. Like it's Melanie and I have talked about this before. Like you revise books so much that you can't, like your brain cannot work on it anymore. And you get feedback that's really great feedback, but your brain's still like, no, I can't. And so like sometimes letting it rest is the best thing to do until your mind and body and everything is ready and it clicks. And it seems like that's what happened for you. And now you have a freaking book right beside you and in stores.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about something more? What is it about?
It is a YA contemporary romance / coming of age story about a 15-year-old girl named Jessie Cassis. She's Palestinian-Canadian. And when we meet Jessie, she's just received a autism diagnosis and she's on like the cusp of starting high school. And so it's like, oh, I'm autistic, but I'm also starting high school. And the whole thing about her wanting to start starting high school was she wanted a fresh start. So she meets with her psychologist in chapter 2, who's like, I'm going to help you, like, get through, help you with adapt to your changing world. And the psychologist recommends that she come up with a list of goals. And, Jessie comes up with goals, but they probably aren't goals that the psychologist would have approved. But, one of her goals is that she wants to keep the autism a secret from people because she doesn't want people to know. She just wants this fresh start because she had a really hard time in elementary school. And so, she has some like silly goals like, I want my mom to buy me a real bra. And then when she meets this boy in science class who's a year older, she wants him to be her first kiss. And it's just, she wants to make new friends, and it's really like a coming of age. And then she meets another friend, a guy, and it becomes like a love triangle, sort of. It's a different kind of love triangle because she's autistic, and I think that's important to note because even like the romance is not a typical romance because she's autistic. So it doesn't necessarily hit all the romance beats, or she doesn't quite see things as obviously as a neurotypical main character would. And I know people have become frustrated with Jessie because they're like, it's so obvious. Why can't you see this? And this person's not good. And so it's just, you get to see it. You get to see her experience her whole 9th grade year. It starts in September, ends in June. And you get to see her experience that, coming to terms with her autism diagnosis, falling in love, making friends. And you get to see it through the eyes of a autistic girl, which I want to remind people sometimes, like, she's autistic. Remember, her brain works differently than yours. But I think sometimes people forget when they're reading because they're surprised to find she's also really relatable. And I'm like, well, yeah, because, we're human. We have like relatable traits, but there's also things that make us different, or certain struggles that we have that you might not have. Sorry, that was a long ramble. It's really hard to sum up our own books.
It's impossible, but you did it. Yeah, you did it perfectly. And honestly, like, it sounds like it correlates so much with your own journey. With just kind of like, legit just wants to mask her diagnosis and try to, hide it from the world. And I'm hoping that it comes to a good ending where she can release that and have that breath of fresh air like you had.
Yeah. And it was very healing for me to write. No, I won't spoil, but it was healing for me because I didn't know that I was autistic growing up. So it was nice to be able to write the story of this character that I felt really close to, but giving her that knowledge that I wish I had and seeing her go through the process of self-acceptance
Yes, that's the beauty, honestly, of young adult novels. I feel like it's like we give like a younger version of ourselves all the lessons that we needed back then, and so now the next generation or whoever, even not young, just young people can read it and, and traverse those life lessons. And it's just this beautiful thing. I can't get enough of young adult genre. It's just like you just learn so much through these characters' experiences. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So we've all been through it. I think that's the thing. Like, you don't have to be 13 to 19 to read it. We've all been a teenager at some point, and we all remember those firsts.
Yes. And I'm convinced that writing it is free therapy. Like, it definitely is. And you're just like sorting through those emotions, right? Like, and yeah, I love the sound of everything. So how would you describe your writing style? Your plotter, pantser?
Like how I write, or like comparative to?
Like plotter, pantser.
Oh, like that. Chaotic. I'm like, I think I'm a plotter, but then I start writing and I don't follow the plot. For me, it's character. As long as I have like who my main character is, and like, what the like catalyst is, what's going to be like the big climactic moment, and how it's going to end, I feel like that's enough for me to get started. But I went through a phase where I like really heavily plotted. I followed every single beat and Saves the Cat. I had the like long chart paper and I'd write it out in marker, and I'd spend all this time and then I would like never follow it. So now I figure like, what are the things that I need to know going into the story? I write pretty character driven stories. So for me, I have the main character. I feel like I'm at a good starting point and I can go from there.
Yes. I always love this question because I'm always so fascinated with how writers' brains work. And we really truly do all work so differently. And
from book to book, it can change from book to book.
Absolutely. Like from minute to minute sometimes it feels like today plotting isn't working. Screw it. I'm just going for it. It's like, I think as long as you get the words down and you're happy with where it's going, do whatever works for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What has been the hardest part of your writing journey so far? I was just going to go dark for a moment.
Okay. Like I mentioned before, rejections were and continue to be hard for me because I'm a very soft person. And I take it personally, especially because this first book feels very personal. And one of my like autismo things is I hate being misunderstood, and that probably stems from like childhood trauma of not being understood. And so now I feel like sometimes I overcompensate and I over explain myself because I just want to make sure that I'm being heard, because I was always so silent for so long. And the misunderstandings, and I really me, but at the same time, it's like I can't control. You have to learn that I cannot control how a reader is going to interpret my book. And that's been a learning process. If they forget she's autistic, that's on them. It's not me. If they want to throw around like sexist terms like boy crazy, which was today's rant on Twitter, that's reflecting on them poorly, not so much on me. So I am that's hard for me, like not being able to always clarify misunderstandings, especially just because I feel like, because I'm so close to Jesse, it sometimes is a attack on my character. So I have to try and get a little bit better at
It's such a random thing to pick at, though, because I feel like maybe it's just me, but I feel like back in high school, I had a crush on every person in my class at least once, the duration of high school. So if you want to call that boy or girl crazy or whatever, but I'm just like, isn't that just high school? Don't you like at some point just be like, have a momentary crush on every person?
Yeah. And I think, it's like, do you forget? And are you expecting me as the author to teach the proper way to be like, no, I'm writing real characters. I'm writing messy characters who make mistakes, who might be too fixated on a guy. By the way, the hyperfixation is her autism as well. And they don't see that all the time. They just think, she's oblivious. I'm like, well, yeah, the autism, but they don't always read critically, or maybe they don't get it, or and I can't control that. You know, I've done best job I can, and what I can focus on are the people that do get it, and do see themselves through the character, or do accept that this is part of her journey without criticizing her or the story because of it.
Yeah.
That's so good, honestly. Now, would you say like that kind of like finding the right readers has been the best part, or what has the best part about this journey been for you so far?
It's finding the right readers is a challenge. I just want to branch out on that topic just for a minute, because my character is Palestinian, and because she's autistic, I have Palestinians or Arabs who are excited to see a Palestinian in a book. And then I have autistic girls who are excited to see an autistic girl in a book. And I think sometimes their expectations are so high and they're so excited to see themselves in the book. When they pick up the book and they see that her family is not quite like their family, or her autism presents differently than their autism, then there can be some disappointment. And sometimes those people are my harshest critics, which is disappointing, because I want to give the rep, but I'm also one person with one story, and I can't represent all of the Palestinian experience or all of the female autistic experience. So initially I had thought that those were going to be my people, and sometimes they are, but not always. So in finding my people, yes, definitely, that's the people who say, I feel seen. I love the story. I binged it. Even I'm not autistic, but I still related and I still loved it. Yeah, that's definitely the best part. Yeah. And just this feeling of fulfillment too. Like, this for me is, I look back and I'm like, this is pretty much what I wanted to be when I was 14 or 15, but I didn't know that. You know, I wanted to make teenage movies, and this is close. You know, it's not the movies, it's a book. But I don't have to work with as many people writing a book, so that it's a better win for me. But yeah, like just that fulfillment of like, I'm doing what I want to do, what I've always wanted to do, and there's really nothing better than that. To be able to spend your life doing something that you love and you're passionate about, even if it didn't happen until I was 40, you know?
Yeah. I think what you've said just before is so freaking important. Like, this is one story. It can't possibly represent everyone's experience. And I think like, if people could just accept a story as the story it is without going into expectations, the world would be a better place. Because yeah, like this is your story.
Yeah. Right. And, you know, let there be more Palestinian stories. Let there be more autistic girl stories. We need more and more and more. And then, you know, we don't have, you know, one white girl story and everybody's expected to relate to her one story, you know? So it can't be the same for me. I can't be that person for all Palestinian females or all autistic females.
That's it. That's it right there. So just give us more world, universe, publishing, more diverse just stories. Please. Okay, I see our time is like dwindling down, but I want to go to like our favorite question that we always ask, and it's looking back at all you've accomplished. What advice would you give a younger version of yourself before you started this journey?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. And I don't regret not doing this sooner. I think I needed to have the life experiences that I had so that when I was ready to write, that I was in the right place mentally, physically, financially, emotionally to write this story. I don't think I would have been able to write the story when I was 25 or 35. So I don't know if I would say do this so that you could have this sooner.
That's perfect.
That's
honestly.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't get better than that, honestly.
Yeah. And I think it's so true. A lot of times when I hear like people have regrets looking back, I often think, but like it kind of got you where you are and it made you who you are. So if you love who you are today, then those experiences are part of that, you know? But I can't believe our time has just disappeared. Like, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
I literally have chills from this whole conversation because we must have been cut from the same cloth in a past life. And yeah, I'm so excited to read your book.
Hope you enjoy it.
Thank you.
Yay. Thank you, Jackie, for joining us, and have a wonderful night. It's our pleasure,
see you later.
honestly.
Wait, I want to say your name the way I say your name. Okay, let me get it right. Angela Montoya.
Beautiful.
Montoya. You have a fun name to say.
It is fun. It is fun. I literally just named a very random character in my new middle grade after her because I was sitting there going, I need another cool name. And I was like, Angela Montoya.
Yes, thank you.
Let's put like,
thank you so much.
Khalilieh.
Khalilieh. I will appreciate that when I'm reading your bio in a moment's time. Thank you.